Great to see you. Welcome to the Horn Talk. My name is General Cabrera. The conversation we're having in Kenya is all about the Ebola outbreak that started in DRC Congo. Now it's in Uganda. Death tolls are rising. And Kenyans are asking one question. Why is Trump's administration putting a quarantine in Kenya? I'm here with Prof. Peter Kagwanja to dissect what is happening. Good to see you. How are you doing today?
Thank you, Jatiel. And how are you?
I'm doing so well, but Kenyans are not well.
Yeah.
The conversation in the country is you're given 1.7 billion shillings and you're told you're going to put a quarantine zone for citizens of America who are suspected to have Ebola. And the question is, why is this happening? Why don't Americans deal with their own problems rather than bring their problems to Kenya? If they have the money, they can handle it.
I don't think this is an American problem. It's our problem. And this problem relates to our foreign policy, particularly in the era of the hustlers. We seem to have taken the game of hustling a little bit serious. And therefore, we seem to have adopted what I would dare describe as a very prostitutous kind of foreign policy, where we are ready to go to bed with anybody who has money. In other words, everybody can put a price over our head and we'll accept, even if that means death of our children, death of our wives, death of our husbands, death of our mothers, and deaths of our family members. It doesn't matter as long as there's a price tag that has been put on the table. That's a very, very, very prostitutous foreign policy approach.
You're saying it's prostituters, and you're telling this to the Kenyan regime.
Yes, I'm saying, it is Winston Churchill said that these kind of things are only the prerogative of the harrods, because they are the only ones who have, who have duties without responsibility. We have responsibility, duties, what do you call it, privileges without responsibility. Now, we want to have the privilege of holding sick Americans with the Ebola virus for a few silver coins. And what does that make us? What happened to morality about us? What happened to the Constitution that we sworn to protect? Which means you're not protecting Constitution. Constitution is a paper. You are protecting the people who are in chapter 1 of the preamble of the Constitution, which is you protect them from enemies within and without. You protect their security. You protect the sovereignty of the country, and you also protect the dignity of our people. Those three things matter to us.
Is the president of Kenya feeling on this? Because why should we even have this conversation in the first place? And you're calling it prostitutious, you're calling it lack of morality. What does this tell about the president of Kenya?
Well, I don't know how he feels, and I really don't think this is where I would want to go, because feelings have their place. Dignity has its own place. Respect of your country has its place. Patriotism, which is essentially readiness to die for your country, has its place. That's why we get our boys and girls on the line of harm to protect what is dear to us. That's Mother Kenya. Now, Donald Trump is a great American, because he wants to protect the lives of Americans in America. But by not allowing those Americans affected by the virus to go back to America with that virus, because it is so dangerous that America as a superpower feels that it cannot handle it on its own soil. How do we as Kenyans, a developing country, poor, ranked as lower middle income, but where the vast majority of our people are living from 1 meal per week, 1 meal in perhaps 3 days. We are that poor, and we think we are going to handle Ebola on our own soil. Particularly, God has shielded us Because we, yes, belong to the East African community where Congo and Uganda are, but Ebola has not reached us. And then we go and accept that we want Ebola in on our soil. What kind of people are we?
The question is about sovereignty versus money or alliance to America. Because if you listen to the health CSC, then Duale is saying that 25% of our health budget is being covered by the United States. And if you look at it, 20 to 20% donor and what. Does this mean the money we receive doesn't ensure us that we cannot say no to whatever America asks of us?
But since when did we depend on America for our financing? This is a new phenomenon on the Jubilee, Jubilee thing. Under Kibaki, 97% of our budget, we met it ourselves, including free education for our people. So before you even justify the potential deaths of our people on the basis of money, first and foremost, we must know that we have a country to protect. And protection is not about money. It's about ensuring that the sanctity of life of our people is protected. And that is what Donald Trump is doing, and doing it very well.
Yeah.
He's protecting the sanctity of the lives of the Americans. Why do we think in Kenya that our lives are so useless that we can sell our lives for money when the Americans are giving out money in order to save their own lives? Why can't we ourselves sacrifice and do the quarantining of our borders? I would have expected that what Duare is doing, he's on the Ugandan border, looking at that boundary and ensuring that every Ugandan coming to Kenya is screened for Ebola, or that anybody on the border coming from Burundi, which is near the Great Lakes region, because that area of Ituri is a very fluid area where we have the Rwandese, we have the Ugandans, we have the Burundians, we have the Congolese, and we also have peacekeepers who are sent there by the United Nations and countries. So we have a population, a huge population that Kenya need to be prepared for. Instead of that, you are caught up in this very, very scandalous arrangement where you transform a military pact. I know the basis of this is in 1980, February 1980 pact with America that which has been renewed every 5 years or so, which says that America can use our facilities for security purposes as part of that. But this is military. We did not agree to a situation where you're going to export all the viruses or transform Kenya into a virus an Ebola containment colony.
Oh yeah.
So with the stroke of the pen, because of money, very, very cheap, 1.7 billion, very, very cheap.
Kenya shillings.
Kenya shillings. We have transformed ourselves into an American colony from that specific perspective, that we are now an American Ebola containment colony. We don't know how long this is going to be. Now, you say we have received this money. Is it the money to build the center or to build to protect our people when they are affected by sick Americans?
The money is for Ebola preparedness, and most likely it's about the
Ebola
containment.
preparedness means what? Containing. Why would you want to bring us Ebola and you give us money to protect, to prepare for you? In other words, you are coming with a sword to kill me, right? And you send me money to buy a sword to protect me from yourself. What logic is that? With which school did we go?
What does this mean? Does this mean that America doesn't respect us as Africans? Because you would expect even the ask itself shows how low they treat us.
That's the question that's bothering me. Where did America get this audacity?
Exactly.
Of basically asking us as a sovereign nation that bought this country with blood from the British, who had been with us for 67 years. Why couldn't we allow the British to stay on and turn us into containment colonies?
Yes.
for all their sick people. Now, we saw this again in Rwanda, where the British wanted to move all the former slaves who are now called refugees into Congo, into Rwanda, in exchange for money. And I respect then Prince Charles, now King Charles III, who said this is immoral. If we're not able to have these people here, we don't have to take them anywhere. Let's take them back to their countries. You know, Charles was forthright in that manner. In the White House in the United States, we have a person who is forthright also in his crudity and callousness. He is forthright. So he comes and say, we are not going to receive sick Americans. And we have a very mercurial leadership in Kenya, which says we are going to receive all sick Americans, the Trump style. Who are we as Kenyans? Do we know ourselves? It doesn't matter what you do. This is going to go down the annals of history as the darkest chapter in our country, particularly in defense of our people, in defense of our sovereignty, in defense of our dignity as a people, and in terms of the way the world perceives us. We are hosting the UN, and the team is expanding. And as you are doing that, you are turning your country into an Ebola containment colony of the United States.
When you look
what wisdom is that?
You brought the question of audacity. The audacity they have.
Yes, well, the Americans, do they ever consider that we are independent people?
And or is it a question of ourselves not remembering that we are independent? As our leaders, we have given them power, but they still make these moves.
It is when a leadership of a country become transactional. It is like a drunkard father who thinks that you can sell a drug addict as a father who decides you can sell everything, or go to casino and play poker with everything in the family, from the family land to the wives and children. Everything is open game for selling. That transactional view of life is ruinous to our country. Is the greatest threat to the very existence of the Kenyan people. Luckily, it is an existential threat.
We have our judiciary. The High Court Judge Patricia Nyaundi barred the government from establishing, operating, or permitting any Ebola facility under U.S. or foreign agreements, and from admitting anyone exposed to the virus into Kenya pending further proceedings. Legal challenge brought by the Katiba Institute and the Kenya Law Society, citing lack of public participation in Kenya's insufficient high containment infrastructure. First of all, what is your thinking about this ruling by the court, by the High Court? And also, what are the risks of us being unable to contain this? It comes, we say we have received money, we say there are experts from the U.S., the CS was talking even about the KDF as good doctors. First of all, about the courts, and also the risk of us not being able to contain it. It spreads to our people now.
Let's say this. We hail our courts, our judiciary, because it is emerging as the last frontier in our defense against epidemics, against crime, against impunity of government, and against the evils that we are beginning to see. And I hope that it's not going to be tired, and I hope it is not going to be manipulated into the future, because that will spell the doom to this country. Apparently now, it's the last frontier. The other frontier we are getting is our civil society, particularly our human rights watchdogs, like Katiba Center, and so on. And our human rights activists, including Mother Wangari Karua, who are not only defending the rights of Kenyans, but the rights of our regional neighbors who are affected by similar situations. So we play and hope that this frontier is not going to be, this last line of defense is not going to be breached. Because if it is breached, we'll become helpless.
But there's also evidence of, U.S. personnel landing in Laikipia Air Base. There's evidence of that, despite this ruling.
Let me first of all say that, it is good to acknowledge our judiciary, and that it is now our last line of defense. That leads us to the next question: is if we ourselves want to respect the courts, does the executive want to respect the ruling of the courts and also get inspiration and guidance from the directions the Kenyans are taking? Because you don't have to fight with the Kenyans. Because I was listening to the Minister of Health and I was wondering whether it's like he's in a court defending his father's property or land, and the family interest against very offensive aggressive attack them. And one was wondering whether this is a Kenyan minister or is an American minister. I really couldn't distinguish. I thought I am listening to an American minister, maybe a minister for health in the United States, telling us that there is no harm, there is no this. They are assuring us. I would, as a Kenyan minister, want to listen to the Kenyans and their fears, and allay their fears, and basically address their fears without having to defend a foreign nation.
Is there any way?
Because if as a citizen,
yes,
as a citizen, and I deal on a day-to-day basis with foreign nationals because of my work, there is something called espionage. There's something called treason. There's something called sedition. All these terms which have to do with the protection of the very aspect of our society. NIS would be in my office, literally asking what I'm doing and what is happening, and eventually, before you say Jack, I am already their guest. I don't know why government ministers can also be guests of NIS and others, because who are they serving? Are they serving Kenyans or they are serving foreigners?
You're going there.
When you defend the Americans and it is very, what makes you different from an ordinary Kenyan citizen who will be a guest of the state institutions, law enforcement institutions, because they are seditious, they are treasonous, and they are conspirators with foreigners? How do you conspire with foreigners and walk free in this country? What guarantee do you have? If you do that, I do it tomorrow, I'll not quote you as an example. You stand there and talk like a foreign minister, like a health minister of the United States. And then you tell us that you are a Kenyan and you are serving Kenyans. God save us.
I was asking about the risk now. You put this containment, we know Kenya as it is, and then for one reason or another, the virus attacks a KDF officer who takes it home. Is this a possibility, and what do we do? Because it is my understanding, if it's an American citizen, probably a chopper would go to the base, take them to Europe or another country to be treated. But what will happen to Kenyans?
The Americans are clear. To be honest with you, I have no grudge against the Americans, because they are doing what they think is good for their nation. They will bring their people to be, scrutinized and quarantined and all that for the purpose of ensuring that they are not sick. But as they are doing that, they are interacting possibly with the Kenyans in minimal with the whatever. You know what happened with the COVID-19?
Yes.
Among the first people to die were the nurses. The next bunch of people to die were doctors, those who interacted with us. And because you are assured that the clothes you are wearing and everything is proof to this. But these are things we've made for ourselves. You might go to the toilet and forget to button a certain area and the virus get there. So in this transaction, and we don't even know what is that lifetime. If you say it's for a week, then we understand. But you seem to be building a permanent institution on an area the size of 3 soccer pitch in one of our counties, meaning this is a permanent establishment. And you are doing it in an area which has a long history of impunity after the violations and the killings of Kenyans. That is where, the British, Batuk, British forces are. And King Charles himself had to come here and apologize on what had happened.
Yeah.
But of course, the harm had been done.
Yeah.
Now, this time, we are not bringing soldiers who interact with our people and kill them. We are bringing the worst and most dangerous virus known to mankind in recent decades. The worst of the viruses. This is not COVID-19. It's not COVID-19. This is not malaria. This is not your ordinary virus. Okay? It is the most dangerous, of which the World Health Organization has declared an emergency. Because even the strain that now we are talking about is a kind of uncurable.
It's a new strain.
It's a new strain.
Nobody
for which we are not prepared to handle.
Yes.
And this is the strain you want to import into Kenya.
Bundibugyo strain.
Yes.
Yes.
You want to import it into Kenya by allowing sick Americans to come to the country and be quarantined. And there is no space of our land which is not occupied by Kenyans. So what happens to those Kenyans who are going to interact with these people? And what happened to them when they get into Matatu to come to Nairobi? And what happened to them when they move from there and get into the plane and move to Tanzania or our neighbor or any other international country? Where will Kenya be? Already, our reputation is very bad, because if you are moving from Kenya, people will basically have to check you on the basis that you have Ebola virus, because there is evidence in the public space, evidence in the public space that you have within your borders a population that has Ebola or is suspected to have Ebola. Don't tell me that it is only Congo. Kenya, Uganda, and Congo are now having Ebola victims. Don't think that the Congolese are not doing the containment. They're doing the containment, but they're dealing with a disease. Here, we are doing containment, we are doing with a disease, but this is a voluntary affair. You volunteer to die, to kill your population.
That's why we go back.
By bringing sick people into your population.
We go back to where you talked about maybe it's treason. You never know. But what does this mean if this is approved and the Americans now start landing in Laikipia and we have this quarantine and some of them are sick? What does this mean for Kenya when you look at future global health emergencies and even the perception of Kenya globally now?
No, we are not having a very good name as a people who know how to protect themselves and to walk with dignity. There is no there is a reason why we have a categories. We categorize our ladies. When you say these girls are from an honorable family, what you are saying simply is that they don't engage unnecessarily. Not that they don't want husbands, but they know how to look for husbands. It's the same case with the foreign policy. It is not that you don't want partners internationally, but you look for them and work with them in dignity, not in indignity. The kind of engagement we are in foreign policy is total indignity. And everybody is watching. How would a president of one country pronounce that he is not going to receive his citizens who are sick with Ebola, and us as a country, our leadership is not only eager to receive those sick citizens that their motherland has rejected and bring them home, but is also keen on defending that immoral act, that treasonous act.
How is this happening?
God should have mercy on us. We don't deserve this as a country. We don't. Truly, we don't. As a country, we really, really don't deserve this. Because I am a father of children. Some are medical, some are in the medical profession. And I can see my daughter or my son moving to that place because they serve. I have some of them in security, and they might be in that place. What am I going to do if they come home and they are sick? Now, that is the point at which now people will say Kagwanja is angry because one of his children has been affected by, but we are not responsible. He misbehaved or he's handled. Because this is now they're moving from defending America's foreign policy to defending the impact of the erroneous thing that they are doing. So we are going to see this PR government turning from PR in defense of the United States to now defending themselves against the impact of what they knew was coming. Because if you bring a sick dog in your home, a sick dog in your compound, you cannot complain if your dogs die. Yeah, you can't. So what you'll be trying to do is to rationalize how safe it was to take them to a military, like the military is not manned by Kenyans.
You've heard Gachagua saying they are already talking, the military, saying they don't want it. Maybe it's political, but maybe they have talked to Gachagua and they are saying they don't want this Ebola in Laikipia.
No, even the governor, Joshua Irungu, has said very clearly he doesn't want it in his county. No governor in Kenya wants that thing in their county.
But it's being shoved upon
Kenyans. And we are told, according to, we are reading, according to satellite images, that they've cleared the field where they're going to build this thing. Obviously, they will tell us that they are all centers in the country. Why would we want to deal with all these centers when our people are dying of cancer? We are dealing with different problems. Our health industry is not faring well. We are spending millions and millions every week to move our people to India for kidney-related issues, for heart-related issues, for cancer-related issues. And here we are, instead of building capacity to fight the frontline issues that are affecting us, you are importing American problems into our country. If America does not want to handle its population, what do we have to do with it?
Is this a conversation that we even ought to have? Because
no, this is the point. This is when you have a prostitute's foreign policy.
Because we are talking about things that
where money is more important than life. This is what you get. You engage yourself in a debate which should never even enter the private space. Forget about the public space.
Thanks for tuning into that conversation. It's a very difficult conversation because it's a conversation that we ought not to have. But now we have.
Yeah.
Because of what you term prostituters' transactional policy.
Yes. Very. Where money is what determines what is good. You enter into a relationship because there's money. It makes me weep. Remembering Churchill, who says that that privilege without responsibility is only a prerogative of the harlot. Governing without brains is only a prerogative of those who don't care about other people's lives.
Thanks for tuning in. That has been the Hot Talk. Goodbye for now.